we wanted to reach out to you all as seniors. This is obviously not the way we hoped for the end of your year to go, but we wanted to give as much support and continue to give as much support as possible, and know certainly that in addition to finishing out the semester strong, job search is absolutely on your minds. So here's what we'll go through tonight. We've got some myths to talk about and dispel, some strategies that you can think about and adopt, some tools that we'll show you, and then we'll go into FAQ, frequently asked questions, and then hear questions from you all as well. So let's get right to it. Myth number one, no one's hiring. So first, with all the headlines about unemployment claims rising every week, and business and commerce stopping, obviously this has gone through everyone's mind, right? No one's hiring. It's not true. We're not going to sugarcoat the picture for you, but we do want you to know the facts and to know where to find the facts as they continue to change so drastically every week. So this is one great resource that we have found, and I'll just go to the live site. Candor has this live website with crowdsourced information about thousands. I think today I looked at the bottom of the list, 7,000 something employers and their status. And so people are lifetime reporting on the status of hiring for all these different companies around the world. And you can see, like, even as we talk, someone else sends in a report. So if I just scroll through, you see the hiring freeze in yellow, some reports of layoffs in red, and some reports, this is all the same company, of hiring. And so you can see, yeah, there's definitely hiring freezes, there's definitely layoffs, but there's also a lot of green. There's a lot of hiring still going on. And so this can be, we'll give you the links after the presentation, but this can be a good tool for you to look at status if you have specific companies in mind, or that you want to research. So here's Genentech. If you click into the cell, there's multiple people who have reported here, and you can expand that cell, and here's the reports from a variety of different people just on Genentech. And then there, for many of the companies, there's a URL to where to apply, and then you can look at how recent the reports are too. So this is one really interesting tool. And then just thinking about all of the headlines, all of the media, there's so much to consume, right? But as with everything, consume this information at your own pace and from sources that you trust. There's definitely good news out there. There's also, of course, definitely articles that are discouraging, but just taking some recent headlines, there is hiring going on. You can do research on what industries are hiring, what industries are struggling, what types of jobs within industries are more promising than others. And then again, and we'll get into this in a little bit, that the landscape is changing and the horizon is changing for these companies in this industries all the time. The best advice is to not hit the pause button. Don't just give up and stop, but keep the search going or keep the process going. Be flexible and be creative in your search. Think about, again, who is busy, what industries are hiring, what different ways you can learn about new opportunities. And then get yourself ready for the employers who are hiring and for when hiring picks back up in other areas too. So what do I mean by that? Get your resume ready, get your LinkedIn profile ready, network online with people, because 70 to 80% of jobs don't get posted online. I think probably you've all heard that statistic. So many jobs are arranged or networked into by people you know and connections you have. So networking online with Bates alumni and others you're interested in talking to is a really important thing now more than ever. Make virtual coffee dates with people at companies you're interested in or organizations you're interested in. Make coffee dates with people who've got jobs that you would like to explore, and get to know them and get all the information you can. And then another way to get ready and make yourself more attractive to employers is gain new skills by online classes, enrolling in Coursera or other online classes. You can look at tech or design classes or project management classes, Excel, writing classes. There are a million topics. Much of this education is free. Coursera courses are free unless you want a credential, a certificate, and then you can pay for a certificate. So depending on what's important for your search, you can decide what kind of credentials or education or just fun learning once you're done with your classes. There's all kinds of interesting fun learning to do out there as well. And then finally, be patient. This will be slow. It will be slower than it is, than it has been in the past for graduating classes, but just be patient, do the work, make your plan happen, and we will come out of this. So I think those are some things to think about as you consume the information and carry on with your search. Anything anyone else wants to say about that, Karen or Honang?
I mean, I think the only thing that I would add is, you know, similar to like what's kind of on the right side of this slide, thinking critically about, you know, how society is being impacted right now and what are the services that are like necessary and ideally needed in an environment that, you know, again, we could never have imagined. Right. And so I think that's where the creativity and the flexibility of thought comes in. And that's where the critical thinking, like all the skills that Bates has like taught you during your time here is like, again, thinking and being analytical about where the needs might be, the organizations and the companies and the firms that would be like supporting and addressing those needs, and thinking about them as, you know, potential hiring employers.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good addition. The other thing is, in this moment, being really mindful, develop a thick skin to stay mentally and emotionally strong, right? This is a hard time, and we all recognize that. It will take more time than it usually does. You may send out more applications and get more rejections than happens in a typical year. And you're not alone. Everyone's going through this. So remembering that, you know, you need to stay mentally and emotionally strong and give yourself the freedom to deal emotionally with this difficult time.
I think also one last thing is in terms of professional development, you know, this is the time to think about, okay, how can I be flexible and resilient? Because this, I think on some level could very well be an interview question, like at some point in your life. Oh, it looks like you graduated during like Corona. Like, how did you deal with it? How did you contend with it? What kind of challenges did you face? And how did you address them? And so I've been saying this to, you know, students in any class year is just, you know, we're living through a really unique period, the same way many of us lived through previous recessions, 9/11, like other very difficult, emotionally challenging periods. One of the key things, like a lot of people, when they find out you've lived through those periods is, what did you do? Like, what was your experience like? So for you to be really thoughtful and reflective about personally what you're contending with, but also how you've been challenged professionally and what you've done about it, that will kind of like really benefit you, I think, in the long run.
Yeah, thinking about traits that employers want: flexibility, adaptability, dealing with ambiguity, resilience. Those are all things that you are dealing with and working with firsthand right now more than in the past, or in different ways than you have in the past. So be really reflective about how you're doing that and how you're thinking about those things. And those can be benefits for interview questions and just for growth further on. So here's myth number 2. Karen, you want to talk about not being screwed?
Oh, you're on mute.
I was trying to make it so it didn't cause any more problems. I'm screwed if I don't have a job by summer. Well, the truth is that most people, like last year at 2019 statistics, 47% had a full-time job. So there were definitely a number of students who were also in fellowships, and there were 33% of the students were still seeking their next opportunity. Within 6 months, I think 88% of our students, 76 to 86, 99% were all set. 1% were still seeking within 6 months. Will that be the same this year? Probably not quite like that. But you know what? Those guys have said, you just got to keep pushing and be determined, and you'll get there. For sure.
So a number of us have been sitting in on a number of town halls, virtual town halls, webinars, workshops, similar to this, but, more for, those doing like the career support work. And in a lot of those town halls and webinars and workshops, employers have been involved in those calls and those conversations, including recruiters and those doing professional hiring. And what they've shared is that they are taking some significant time to just deal with the current situation, to really shift the way they do their operations, shift the way they do their work. So a lot of their time and emphasis has really been on that. And so, given that they are continuing to kind of navigate their way through the economy right now and navigate their business, what they're going to be doing as they settle into, again, this navigation is doing some recalibration. And so that takes some time, and that's going to go into needing to give employers that time to recalibrate based off like COVID and its impact on the business. They're going to be using that time, like heading into these next couple of weeks, months, to really be doing some assessment with regard to, what their budgets look like, what they need to prioritize, what their staffing needs are going to be based off of that budget. And then after that, looking at hiring and recruitment. So I've been in also several conversations just today in terms of thinking about, would it make sense to do virtual interviewing days sometime in the summer, knowing again that business is going to take some time to kind of figure itself out. Companies are going to take some time to figure themselves out. And then as they figure themselves out, they're going to be making some decisions with regard to hiring. So if you don't have something in the fall, again, a lot of folks were hiring in the fall. If you don't have something by the spring, now things have happened in the spring, a lot of it's going to flow, those timelines are now going to flow into summer. So because, again, this recalibration is happening, I think that, again, patience will be a virtue that if you don't have, we will continue to work with you to help you develop over the next couple of months. But I think that there will be opportunities in any number of industries. And even for those of you, where your situations are, pending at this point, that might shift, as we head into summer. But again, we have to get to the point of waiting it out. We are going to have to wait it out and see how things transpire. But from employers' lips directly to our ears, they're saying that they're going to be making some shifts and making some decisions as we go into June, July, August.
I will say that I have heard from 2 employers in Boston. This is in healthcare, but they're both Boston Children's Hospital and the Broad Institute. They are going forth with hiring. And I did 2 mock interviews with students who are interviewing for jobs in New York this week. But then there's another employer, an alum named Allegra, who there's a job opportunity. I think it was Brigham and Women's, but it was someplace in Boston. They're putting off their hiring until They're going to start interviewing in August. So, you know, just keep trying, because it's going to be all different with different organizations.
Yeah.
Okay, so in terms of myth number 3, the fact that purposeful work closes when the semester ends. And so we just want to, as you know, representatives of the team, let you know that this has never been the case, and it will definitely not be the case like this summer. Purposeful work is open throughout the calendar year. Our staff is accessible throughout the summer. So we just want to make sure that there's like a clear understanding of that. And you know, the reality is, given the, you know, the economic situation like is what it is, the reality is that we want to, like, we're very much committed to providing guidance and support specifically to this graduating class. Like, we know you need it. We want to be there for you, as we always have. So we want you to know that that is the case always, and honestly forever to some extent. You know, to bullet number 2, we do support alumni. We may not support alumni in the day-to-day fashion that we do, like while you are here as a student, but you know, whenever we can, whenever we are connecting with alumni, we always ask them to reach out to us for guidance and support. So I know that I was literally just talking to someone who had participated in like a spotlight event, and we've been talking about, okay, like, you're interested in business school, how can we provide the kind of support to help navigate that, you know, next set of decisions. So alumni, you're Batesies for life, and we want to make sure that you understand that the office is accessible to you. Plus, like, the reality is we want to make sure to support this class specifically. And I will, you know, make a pitch for the Purposeful Work internship program that's normally focused on underclassmen and underclass women. This year, we have specifically opened it up to seniors, because we want to make sure that we can provide, you know, this one last significant professional development opportunity for you. So you should have seen a lot of that information come out into your inboxes already in the past few weeks. But if you have questions about that program and how you can participate, if you're interested, please feel free to reach out to any of us or any of the counselors on staff.
Great. So now some strategies. First, keep yourself organized. Some of you have heard me say this before. You should be applying to a high number of positions and exploring a lot of different organizations and companies, being in touch with a bunch of different people, alumni and others, and you should keep yourself organized. Keep a list of some type. I think a spreadsheet is the best way to go.
You just love spreadsheets.
I just love spreadsheets. But so here's a couple. Super simple. This is the one that I have shared with a lot of students before. Super simple. Just columns to keep your contacts and your jobs organized for yourself. So, you know, name, employer, occupation, type of reason for being in touch, and then follow up tasks, and then another tab with jobs, job postings or possible. So what is the job? Where is it? When did you apply? Sortable by industry if you've got a bunch of different interests. Do you meet requirements? Yeah, go ahead, Gina.
Sorry, would you be able to make this as a template available on Google Spreadsheet?
Absolutely. Yes, I have it, and I can share it out to you all. And then I would say, for you, make a copy of it so you're not all adding to the same shared document.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can make it as like a template. That way, if it is a template, we'd be able just to open it on our own instead of having it within a Google Drive.
Yes.
Have access to it. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So then here's the out of control detailed, really useful if you are down for things like this. And this is not mine, this is the muse.com. So the neat thing about this is that it suggests what next steps you should be taking for each thing that you're applying for. So let's pretend you found a middle school math teacher job on Handshake. You found it on April 1st. Have you applied? Yes. Okay, so now what is the next step? Do the research. Enter the date you applied for 20. Have you done your research on the middle school, on the cost of living, on the levels of students? Yes. What's your next step? Send a follow-up email. So this is way detailed, really detailed. But this is a good tool if you like this kind of organization, you know, and really want to have all next steps, different rounds of interviews and sending thank you notes and follow-up emails. And if there's a proficiency test to take with the job, and then notes. So I can definitely share both of these out with you, but I just wanted to give you a sense of the types of things you should be thinking about when you are keeping yourself organized with your search. Make sure that you are staying in touch with, on a semi-regular basis, the people that you are reaching out to for information or for job prospects. It is okay to follow up with people, absolutely. You know, have a contact at an organization you're interested in, or you have a contact that you've applied to, that you've sent your application forms to, or there's an alum at the company that you're interested in. You do an initial outreach, you ask for a coffee date, you send a thank you note after your first conversation with them, follow up a few weeks later, check in if you end up applying for a job and not getting it, check in a month or two later, hey, I read this article and I thought of you, or here's what I'm doing now to, you know, continue my search, and I just wanted to let you know what I'm doing. Keeping those relationships going and keeping track of where you are with those relationships is a really good way to sort of stay very organized with all of the things that you need to keep, all the balls you need to keep in the air.
So know your priorities. So what are you most interested in? If it's advertising, you know, really look into advertising, we'll get into another slide later that'll talk about associations and alumni, and, you know, talk to people that you're in the field that you're most interested in. But also have balance, spend the majority of time on what is most important to you. We have a couple of quotes from Mark Cuban from Shark Tank. And one of the things he said is that, and the other thing is, he said, your first job is about getting paid to learn. It doesn't have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to be a career. It's just your chance to dip your toes into the workforce. So, you know, if you can kind of keep that in mind, and it never has to be the perfect job to start out, whether you're in a COVID-19 situation or not, it's just a way to start out. And I wanted to mention earlier when Huining mentioned the internships. Internships, whether it's through our program or through companies, are a great way to start out. Lots of people in regular times get internships, and then from there they get jobs. So don't hesitate to look at internships as well. And then last, I say this in probably most of the student appointments that I have, quality, not quantity. So, you know, don't just send massive cover letters and resumes. Really look at, you know, what am I applying for? Am I really interested? I mean, you got to be a little bit flexible, but, you know, if you're sending a cover letter, do your homework, know, you know, what the company does, what the person does. If it's, you know, look into the person who you'll be working for. If you can, you know, find any kind of connection. Is there an alum there? Really do your homework and make that cover letter be really connected to that person, because there's a much better chance they're going to read it. And we are happy to look at cover letters and resumes. Of course, you know that. Okay, industry guides. I think one of our colleagues next Tuesday on the 28th, they're going to be doing a workshop on the vault guides and handshake. And but just an overview, vault is there's a list of career or industry guides on vault, which is on handshake. and they give you in-depth information about different careers, different industries, different companies. So you could look at an industry guide on advertising, and you look into what companies are, the top 10 companies in advertising, what kind of internships do they have, what kind of jobs do they have. So it's a really helpful resource that I don't think we tap into as much as we could or should. And then, I talk probably in every single appointment about LinkedIn. I think at this point, more than ever, connecting with alums, to be honest, I know a lot of alums who are all working from home, and they have a lot more time on their hands than they usually do. So, just to talk to them, like, what is it like to work for the company they work for? Why did they decide to go to that particular graduate school? Why did they get an MBA instead of a, master's in health administration? Like, just making connections is really critical, and they love it. They really, really love to hear from you. So please take advantage of that. And then we have this new platform called Batesbridge, which you can sign up for. Whereas LinkedIn has, I think there's 17,000 people connected to our website. Batesbridge is Batesbridge is just Bates alumni. And so those are people who have said, I definitely want to talk to students, and this is what I want to talk to them about. And so it's good to use both. Right now there's, I think, 500 alums on Batesbridge, but it's growing all the time.
So I know one of the key things that, you are all very caring about is in terms of the job postings themselves, like where's the best place to look in terms of for opportunities that are specific to your areas of interest. And so, we broke it down to a couple of things that you should consider, and we'll be taking a look at some of those physical sites themselves in a second. But we wanted to just give you like a basic rundown of things to be thinking about. So in terms of job postings, I think the goal is for you to engage in many different, platforms as possible. There are certain very large platforms that don't do a significant amount of screening. So we wanted to really focus on the ones that are targeted towards you and your background and this specifically, graduating population. So the first one is, of course, Handshake. We talk about it all the time. That's basically how we, post and work with employers to post opportunities that are specific to current students, graduating students, and recent graduates without necessarily, graduate degrees behind them. And so that is definitely the first location we would have you all look. In addition to that, LinkedIn also has a jobs careers section. So we would encourage you to look there as well. They have both internships and jobs in terms of listed. So take a look at both of those sets of opportunities. And Indeed is another one that's, fairly frequently used by a number of students on campus. And so they each will give you, something different. Sometimes companies will post across all three and others, and some companies will focus their postings on one or two platforms. So that's why we encourage you to use as many as would be applicable to you, and also as would be manageable by you. Right? We know that there are a lot of opportunities out there. We don't necessarily want you to feel overwhelmed. So target those platforms that are specifically oriented towards you. And to that point, there are a lot of job boards that are meant to be industry specific. We've listed 3 here. I'll mention another one on the tail end. One is partners.org. If you open up that site, you'll see this is a lot of healthcare sort of oriented opportunities. USAjobs.gov is great for if you're looking for any government-focused jobs and internships. Herc Jobs is one I personally can attest to using for pretty much every single job I've gotten in higher education since I've been in higher education. That's about 13, 14, 15 years. I also wanted to bring up, there was one other one, idealist.org is also a great one to utilize if you're interested in nonprofit, education, things of that nature. If you are not familiar with things specific to your industry, vault guides can often direct you to particular, job boards. Any number of folks in our office can also share ones that they know about. But I always tell every student, Google is magic. I don't work for them, but Google is magic. And so if you literally like look up public service job boards, you'd be able to find any number of them through Google. And also whenever I've done that in terms of doing a search either for myself or with a student, you'll also find that when you plug that into the search engine, you'll find that there are a lot of reliable sources like the New York Times, like Forbes, like other organizations that will themselves list the top 10 sites for searching in this industry. So again, it is magic, so please use it. And then the last thing I'll share in the moment is in terms of if you are really interested or aware of an industry and you are familiar with the companies operating in that particular industry, you can certainly go directly to the company and organization site and look at their jobs and careers board. So for example, if you're really interested in higher education, you can go to HERC Jobs, broadly speaking, to find higher ed jobs, but you also specifically know that Bates College is a college university in higher education and you would love to work there. So you can go directly to the company and organization site as well. And we'll also help you, again, like figure out like where to like target, and where to look in terms of like top companies. But again, that is also Googleable. And again, if that's an industry for you, that's like, you're passionate about, you should probably already know like the top like 5 to 10 companies that you would love to work for. So we're going to take like the next slide to help actually like direct you and use an example and help you find some opportunities. So we're going to use marketing broadly as an example. That's definitely an area that students have come in to speak to a number of us about. And so we're just going to walk through these different ways to start looking at marketing and looking for those marketing positions. So the first one I'll go through is looking through Vault. And so Marianne will take us to the Vault guides. And for those of you who are not familiar, definitely ask any of us, and also definitely check out the webinar workshop next week, and they can help you find your way. You can find your way through to the Vault guides through Handshake, the Career Center and resources. So once you click into Vault guides, for example, you will see here that there are a number of industries like on the left-hand sidebar. If you can't find your particular industry, they might not cover it, but you can also go directly to other industries. And if you click there, you'll find even more guides. Okay, so we're going to start by looking at advertising/marketing. Okay. So if you look there, you'll see a number of different guides. And for those of you who are not familiar, these guides are not book length. They are like e-guides, like online, and they're about 10 to 12 pages depending on the topic. So I wanted to direct us first to marketing jobs. So Marianne's going to click marketing jobs, and if you log in.
Oh, I'm not logged in.
Yeah. So you want to make sure to be like logged in.
Doesn't usually happen.
Yeah. So we're going to go back to advertising, marketing, and look at marketing jobs. And so theoretically, you would have had some exposure to marketing already that draws you to it. Regardless, you can go into this guide, and it's going to give you some like really basic information as soon as it pulls up about different marketing jobs and different marketing opportunities. And we're going to like wait a little bit for it to load. And then Marianne, I'll direct you to marketing on that right-hand side under that search table of contents. Great. So I think you can like click through, and again, as you click through, you can read a number of different things, in terms of like about marketing. But where I wanted to really direct us to is kind of towards the end of that document there, Marianne. Oh, there it is. So learn more about it. So the key thing I wanted to go to is, yes, if you scroll up to the top of that page, Marianne, you'll see that, and you go to the page before actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll see that there's like a number of different like associations that would be, helpful for you. So the American Marketing Association, product marketing, and Marianne, if you click to the next page to the top, you'll see a couple of, other ones as well, right? I think that there's another page or two that we can direct them to on the right-hand side. So here's general like vocabulary with regard to marketing. And then if you keep going one more, you'll see where you can find information that about marketing. Again, these are things that if you're interested in the industry, you probably should be reading already. And if you click one more, there. So if you keep clicking through, you'll get a lot of information on different like jobs and opportunities. And I think it is, once you click to the end of the particular document, I'm not managing it myself, so it's hard to tell. But at the end, there is a list of different employers, like marketing agencies, that would be, again, ideal for you to think about looking into. So again, there's just so much information in there that I would encourage you to, go towards any of these guides and take a critical look.
This entries section also goes deeper into the different occupations within the industry, and it has a similar set of information. The overview of the job, the history, the structure, the outlook. So there's just in each of these industry guides, there's just a ton of information.
It's really good just for exploration too.
Absolutely.
Like, wow, I could be interested in that, or that does. I would not want to do that.
Oh, yeah. Marianne, now I remembered. If you go back to the General Vault Guides page, if you click the Vault Guides up on top, and you go back to Advertising and Marketing, and you go to the lower right-hand side, I think if you keep going down, there's top advertising and PR employers. So this guide will actually give you, once you open it, I was like, where did I see it earlier? So many guides, so much info.
There's so much info on this site, yeah.
You can find an amazing list of employers in your particular industry, and you can just like scroll right down, and some of them, again, if that's your field, you'll be familiar with them, and some of them you may not. And so you can see, based on the information here, the locations, where their offices are, what they specialize in, and specifically what their career sites, you can Google that, but you can also see what their specific career site is. Look up.
Yeah.
Great.
Nice.
So much there. And if you want to, like, again, figure out how to like better master it, join our workshop with our colleagues.
Next Tuesday, yeah.
Next week, yeah. So something that both Marianne and Karen have mentioned is like the power of the Bates network. And finding Bates alumni in marketing is honestly like not even a challenge. So we're going to direct you first to LinkedIn, and then also to Batesbridge in terms of where you can find alumni specific, to your interest area. So here is the Bates College LinkedIn page. So literally, if you go to LinkedIn, look up Bates College and go to the school page, this is what you're going to see, right? This particular page. If you click alumni on the left-hand side bar, you will see that there's like all sorts of different breakdowns. I'm going to have Marion go to next. And in terms of what they do, if you click show more, you can run down the list, and you're going to find marketing. If you click to marketing, you'll see that it's going to bring you to, again, another like breakdown. But if you scroll all the way down, you're going to see like all like 600 plus alumni in marketing, right? And so 600 plus, that can be kind of overwhelming. So if you're interested in targeting your search to a particular area, so Marianne can go up again and say, okay, I'm really interested in being in Boston. So I'm interested in doing marketing in Boston. And so I'm looking for all marketing alumni in Boston. And so this brings you down to a list of 172 alumni. And so again, for some of you that may still be significant, but it's certainly a lot less than 600 plus. So in terms of utilizing, this particular feature, you can literally just scroll and you can see the kinds of jobs, the kinds of titles, the kinds of organizations any particular alum is doing marketing in. right? You can also see if they have your similar major. You can see, all the different companies they might be working at. But this, if you haven't engaged in this process already, is a great opportunity for you to see who's out there and what they're doing, right? And if you find someone that's really interesting and, you're like, oh, I really want to see if Josh is willing to, make a connection because I'm on the Mass Mutual site and I just saw a great opportunity. You can go up to the top of the page and there ought to be a message button. And so again, if you are not certain in terms of like how to engage in this like first conversation, we can certainly help, give you some guidance with regard to that. But when you message like an alum, and Batesies are usually hardcore Batesies, so they really want to help other students, and especially now in this challenging time. So when you open up the message, you'll basically, give them some basic information about you. Like, hi, my name is Diana. I'm a senior here at, Bates College. I'm really interested in this particular opportunity at Mass Mutual, and I see that you're an alum. Would it be possible for us to speak on the phone for about 10 minutes for me to get some insight from you? And again, you want to make a really basic ask, but you also essentially just want to say, first off, I'm a Bates student. I'm a Bates senior. Just stick Bates in there in that first line, and that'll usually draw their attention like enough to at least like click open the box and respond in kind. So
and I'm not going to write to Josh.
No.
I'll write to him later and tell him why we were on his profile
and how much we appreciate him.
Yes.
And I just want to add in that we did a workshop on LinkedIn last week, I think, and those are all going to be posted on Friday. They're going to be posted, I think, on our website. So if you want to get more in-depth information on LinkedIn, you can go there, but about your profile and, just how to make those connections. There's a great resource on the Bates on Purposeful Work page about like a templates for writing those emails or writing those messages to alums. So, but it's such a good resource.
And Marianne, if you could show them Bates Bridge really quickly, it's essentially the same process, but we want to make sure that we at least like show you the platform if you're not, familiar with it yet. If you just go to bridge.bates.edu, all you need to do is use your single sign-on Bates login and you can get in. And this is what you see when you log in. And the key place you would go there with regard to this platform is explore the community. So if you go to explore the community, you will see you can actually do like there's an industry exploration bar like right up top. So next to major, this is industry expertise. And you can actually, find marketing. And then that would bring you again to another, list of alumni, similar, if not, directly overlapping with the one that you'll find on LinkedIn. So Bates Bridge is great because these are alumni that are specifically committed to providing guidance. Like LinkedIn is great in terms of having a professional site, but Bates Bridge is this is meant for alums that are really interested in connecting and supporting you as students, and also alumni to alumni connections. So would definitely encourage you to utilize that as well. And at the same time, you can also put a location filter for Boston. So it operates in the same exact way.
Well, this is a little slow, but so
yeah,
all of these people have opted in and said, yes, I want to mentor Bates students. When you first log into Bates Bridge, there's a questionnaire. You fill out your profile. Alumni do the same thing on their end. They can link their LinkedIn profile to their account, and they answer all of the different areas in which they would be willing to talk to a student or a fellow alum, all these different sort of exploration areas. So that helps the algorithm match you with people who would be helpful to you. And I don't know if you noticed when I logged in, I've already filled out that questionnaire, but these are the people based on that algorithm and their profiles. These are the people Bates Bridge is recommending that I connect with because of my interests and their interests. And maybe because of this guy's last name, I don't know. I don't know, Pete. but maybe I should. So this is a really great tool that's a lot more directed and intentional. So both can be good tools for you.
Okay, so then, as I mentioned before, you can go look at marketing roles on Handshake, on LinkedIn, and on Indeed. And again, those are, basic search engines. So again, similar to, what we've done already is you plug in marketing and you plug in your location if you have a location preference. You can also plug in job and or internship, depending on, again, whether you want to like focus your attention on job, or as Karen was saying, you want to make yourself open and available to internship opportunities as well. I also wanted to bring you to some of the other, recommendations in terms of association job boards and firms and companies. So I'm going to have Marianne direct us to the American Marketing Association. So for those of you who, were following when we looked at the guide, the AMA is like the association for anyone interested in marketing. And so if you look up AMA and job board, this is the opportunity, or this is the page that you're going to find to look up opportunities. So you can see that there are, based on their snapshot, a significant number of employers on the platform and a number of different kinds of jobs. So the same way, again, you would look up marketing, or you would look up a specific marketing role. You can also look up by location. There's also an opportunity with their unique filters to look up opportunities by entry level or internship or more advanced. And so, definitely wanted to recommend, again, things that are specifically tied to your industry if you're interested. As I mentioned before, when you're looking at opportunities, you can look specifically like at agencies and organizations, for example, specifically related to marketing. And so one of the firms that was listed in that, top list of advertising, PR, marketing employers was Ogilvy. So I asked Marianne to pull up the Ogilvy website. And so this Ogilvy is a specific marketing agency. And so if you look up careers jobs to operate within Ogilvy, this is the site that you'll find. And again, it's like a really basic site, but there's a lot of kind of like filter opportunities. So I think Marianne, if you look at the categories, you can see all the different kinds of opportunities they have like within the company. You can also target your job by location, as that second filter allows. And once you get started looking at opportunities, you have the opportunity to filter by level. However, if you're interested in marketing, but you want to operate, in consumer and consumer products, for example. So I chose Procter & Gamble as a company that you could do marketing within. And so if you go to Procter & Gamble and you go to their careers page, you can look up marketing in their keyword search. And you can look up US for the country on the left, just to kind of target us a bit, and English, and then you can do a search. And you'll find a number of different opportunities. And so you can see that there's also filters on the right side by experience level. And you can filter by internships and recent grads. And that'll bring you down to like a number of opportunities that may be more catered to you as graduating seniors. So yeah, lots of great opportunities. And some of these, again, may already be on Handshake, but because we know that not every single company is going to post every single opportunity on that platform, we want you to utilize as many as possible. And yep, the last thing I'll say is that, again, depending on your industry interests, they could be very broad or very narrow. If your industry interests are kind of like on the narrower side, we always encourage students to think about affiliated areas or industries, or like adjacent industries areas that will share similar in terms of like requirements or skill sets or things of that nature. And that will help give you a little bit of breadth right now, because again, given that the economy is where it is and the job market is what it is, I think the idea is that you want to be able to apply yourself, you want to be able to grow in the opportunity, and you might be able to kind of keep your sectors a little bit broad, at least at this point.
Also be, I think, kind of broad in knowing that an example like marketing, you could do healthcare marketing, you could do marketing in almost any industry. People are going to do, there's going to be a marketing team. So it's a good thing to think about. What are you interested in? And then using if you want to do marketing, where would you be happiest? That's always a good thing to be thinking about.
Similarly, you know, if you're interested in accounting, do you want to be at a big accounting firm, or would you like to be working in the accounting office or the projections office of a hospital or of a university or whatever? So there's lots of flexibility there, that you can kind of tailor your search as you go on over the next several decades and match really what your interests and values are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where things like your double major or your minors or your GECs or kind of your extracurricular, co-curricular activities, that's kind of where a lot of those things play in, right? The intersection between your different interests, that can really help give you some direction.
Okay, I think we just wanted to go through just some questions that we get asked quite often. Is it okay to apply for multiple jobs at one company? Yes, of course. It's always best if you can if you can tailor the cover letter to a particular job. But if not, if you know there's a company that's hiring, say Boston Children's Hospital, they're hiring research assistants. They don't really know necessarily right now where they're going to put them. They just know that they're going to be hiring them. So you may not be able to tailor some cover letters, but you can definitely apply to many jobs. They expect that. I think I kind of covered 2 as well. Unless you're changing, you know, industries, you know, then you would want to change your resume and your cover letter up for every application.
And I will say also with regard to that, in terms of your changing your cover letter, I think it's really important to pay close attention. Even if the body of your cover letter doesn't change extensively, you want to make sure that any single reference you make to a company does get adjusted every single time you send a new cover letter to a new hiring manager or a new organization, because I will definitely say I have reviewed many a cover letter for a student here. And again, maybe they thought it was because it wasn't going out yet, but the reality is, you know, if I notice as your counselor that you have not changed the company from the first paragraph to the middle paragraph to the last paragraph, it reflects a certain way, and I'm definitely going to call it out and let you know so you fix it for when you actually submit it. But that's the kind of things, those are like small things that you can do to like, again, show your professionalism as much as possible. So again, like have a good read, and if you're comfortable having someone close to you, like a family member or a friend, like do another pass at it. They sometimes will pick up on things that you missed when you were doing your own kind of edit and review. So again, as advisors, we're happy to do that for you. But if you can have someone like immediately close to you do that, you'd be in like a much better place.
Yeah, and follow the directions. Make sure that you're following all the instructions that they have in the job description. We had an internship go out today, and I think there were 1/3 of the applicants did not put in the job that they were applying for, which was required in the instructions. So fortunately, we pulled it and told everybody to fix that, but that's not what's going to happen in the real world. When a company gets that, they're going to just say, well, you didn't pay attention to the details, and you want to make sure that you do that right.
Especially if that's a requirement of the job, is to be detail oriented. Like, yeah, they're going to cut you.
Yeah.
So how do you figure out to whom to address your cover letter? You know, not always possible to find a person's name, of course, on job listings, but get as specific as you can to the department you're applying to, something other than dear sir or madam, or to whom it may concern. And we can help you with language if you need help with that.
And sometimes alums can too.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. How soon should I follow up after I apply? That's tricky. I would give it a little bit of time. I think the wheels of employment turn slowly no matter when, but I think right now they're probably moving, well, probably just as slowly as they always do. So it's hard to know, but I would give it, what would you guys say? A couple weeks?
Yep. 10 days to 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's my sort of rule of thumb, I guess.
And I
would say
after an interview. What would you say, Hui-Ning?
I was also going to say that I think that, you know, we're always trying to help students think about, oh, what are the questions you should ask the employer, like at the end of the interview, because they're going to ask you, oh, do you have any questions? Or at least they should. And so one of the questions, like we think that it's really important, is just to ask generally, oh, do you have any sense of the timeline for this, for your process and for this role? Because if you do specifically ask that question and they're able to give you like at least like a general answer, then you can use at least that to gauge, right? So they're like, oh, well, we're going to finish our first round interviews by this week, and then we'll like, reach back out in 2 weeks. And so you will know in the back of your mind, well, you shouldn't be thinking about anything for 2 weeks because they said they're going to take that long. And then probably on top of that, I'd give it another week. Like knowing that things can happen, people will go on vacation, people get sick, or timelines get pushed out. I would say I would give the time that they give you and then another week beyond that, just to be safe.
And then put it in your spreadsheet.
Yeah, and then you can track it.
And then email thank you, handwritten note in the mail. Well, right now, no notes in the mail. No one's going into their office to get their mail from the mailbox, right? But I also think that email thank yous are fine in today's world. And it's really kind of a personal preference. Some people love to have that thank you card, but the email can be sent immediately or an hour after you talk with them. And I think that's there's really value to that. So I would say email.
Yeah. I would also concur with the email. I think that a note in the mail is nice once a process has been wrapped up. So in terms of whether you get the role, or certainly if you get the role, but if you don't get the role, I think it's also, a good opportunity to say, thank you for allowing me to participate in the process. I, really appreciate the opportunity, learned a lot, et cetera, et cetera. And just to make sure that you're ending the whole experience on a positive note, because I think the idea of networking is something that we push, is that networking is for a lifetime. Like networking is not just for like a week or two or a month, like while you're trying to get this job. So if you can make a lasting impression on an employer, as you build out your career, the idea is hopefully they'll remember that. So should there be another opportunity that's, right for you, that they will, remember that you sent this note, you wrapped up, you kept up conversation, and they'll think of you for a future opportunity.
And there could be a job that comes up a month later that, maybe you were second and they would think of you and say, oh, we should get back in touch with her.
Absolutely. As a hiring manager, I have done that. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right.
So are there other things, I know we're over time, but are there other questions that you all have?
Yeah, we're happy to stay a little bit longer to answer anything that's particular to your needs.
And I'm going to stop sharing so we're back on screen.
You can send them through chat too, can't you?
Yeah.
Whatever you're all comfortable with.
Yeah, whatever you want to do.
So I've applied for a few different jobs that have said that they're putting, so a couple months ago, they were like, we're putting our job search on hold, and they gave a certain date. And I'm assuming that the date they gave has been pushed back more. Should I just wait, or is that something that I'm able to follow up and send an email and ask what their hiring status is?
I would follow up for sure and just say, hi, this is Sarah. I'm super excited about the job. I know you were, just wanted to check in with you to see where you are in your hiring process. For sure, it shows interest if nothing else.
And I think this is also a time for you to say, I realize that there's so much going on, and that, the organization probably has, a different set of priorities than they did, a couple of months ago when I interviewed, but I'm committed to this process, and I definitely wanted to make sure to kind of maintain my level of interest. So I think framing it as your understanding of kind of what they're going through, I think will be important, but then also articulating to Karen's point that this is something that means a lot to you, I think will also hold weight as well.
Awesome, thank you.
Hey, Charlotte. We can't hear you.
She's not muted.
No, maybe it's the audio choice.
Headphones, maybe.
There we go. Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
I was wondering if you were thinking about like considering, like I was thinking about considering grad school in like 3 to 5 years. And I was wondering if you would suggest like sticking to that, if that's what you had already planned, or like reconsidering timeline given how this is all going down.
Whether you should wait or whether you should move your timeline up or something?
Yeah, just in terms of like, yeah, if maybe an advanced degree would be required and like the field jobs opening sorry, I'm like so inarticulate right now. Basically, like I was thinking about going to grad school in like 3 years. But right now, a lot of the jobs that are open entry level aren't really exactly what I was hoping for. I was wondering if you would suggest just like holding out and waiting a little bit longer, or if reconsidering the timeline of grad school is a good idea.
I would say to hold out, and I would wait, because I just think it's such an important and expensive and process, and you want to really be ready for it, and you really want to know, because what you're thinking right now, it may change in a year or 2 years, and so I would wait it out and get a job. Maybe it won't be the perfect job, but get some experience in the field, which will likely leverage you better to get into a variety of graduate school programs anyway.
Yeah, I would also add that I think it was like I've just been in Bates for 8 months. So at my previous institution, talking to students, there were definitely a couple who were like trying to like race and like they weren't sure about their job prospects, and then they were like racing to be like, let me just apply to graduate school, like someplace that won't require the GRE, that I can just submit my application to. And I think I was like challenged by that, and that's why I kind of like, I'm very much like along in terms of Karen's line of thinking, because like you don't want to do anything like in general, if you can, you don't want to do anything rushed, because if you're not going to be able to put your whole self in it, if you theoretically could have taken the GRE and like done really well and applied to like a wide array of programs that are more aligned to like who you are and who you want to be and what you want to do, like you don't necessarily want to be like, let me just like rush job it and just get something out. Because it's going to be expensive like to apply, and then you never want to be left thinking, oh, should I have waited, like did I rush into this? Because the reality is you are rushing into it if you're trying to do it right now. If you are in a different space where you're like, actually, like I'm really interested in certain programs, I've already kind of sort of thought about it already, then that's a different space to be in than being like, no, my goal was really to do it 3 to 5 years. And now I'm just like, should I pivot? Should I pivot? It's like, we're like, don't pivot too fast.
Okay.
Otherwise it won't be suited to you.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Once the GRE, is now available, you can take it at home. So, that could be something that you could do over the summer if you were, taking it at the end of summer. The scores are good for 5 years. So that is something, and, data suggests that it's better to do it closer to when you have graduated. So that is something you could get behind you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I had a similar question, and then I was wondering if Purposeful Work has any resource on helping students planning for the GRE.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I was looking at James's message in the chat room. Do we help students prepare for the GRE?
Yeah, because I think I got emails before from Purposeful Work. There's like virtual sessions or like online information regarding to the GRE. I wasn't really sure if I have read them correctly.
Well, the Math and Statistics Workshop does free GRE work for the quantitative section. They do that in the fall, and we have done some support of GRE courses before. Unfortunately, we can't do any of that right now because of funding. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And James's question is, how do we include GECs on our resumes? I was told at one point we could claim them as minors, but I just want to double check. So I think in regards to that, I don't think you can you can't say that a GEC is a minor because, as you know, it's not. I always say, just you can put concentration colon. So you had major colon, biology, minor colon Spanish, and concentration public health. You can tell which field I usually work in. But I would not put that as a minor because it's not. Second question, should we incorporate Mount David Summit on our resumes but specify that we would have presented but that it was canceled? What do you guys think about that?
You can list major projects that you have done in academics or in your internships or earlier jobs. So I think if you have compiled a presentation or a major report, you could maybe represent it that way, even though it wasn't presented. It's tough. The wording is tough, but I think you can title it in a way that demonstrates that you had this final report or data visualization of a study that you did, that you produced, and worded in a way that shows that you did a lot of the work. And people understand that in the first half of 2020, nothing happened the way we thought it was going to, right? So yeah, I think there are creative ways. And James, if you want, help with figuring out how to creatively put that on your resume or talk about it in an interview situation, any one of us would be happy to help you think through that.
Those are great questions, though.
Yeah.
I mean, what I would do, one thing you could do is at the bottom of, say it's your thesis, your senior capstone or whatever, the last bullet underneath that particular experience, like I would put your senior thesis in education and then put it down in your experience section, and your last bullet could be prepared paper or whatever project for Mount David Summit. And then you did do that, I assume. You just didn't get to present it. Does that make sense? You got it. Great. Any other questions, you guys?
Well, as you know, we are here for you. We've said that a million times. We'll say it a million more. Purposeful Work at Bates.edu, or through Handshake, making appointments with us, or emailing us individually. We're here for you every day.
These sessions will be, again, as Karen noted, they're recorded, they'll be like edited down, and then they'll be shareable. So if you want to refer back to it, if you have other peers that you think it'd be beneficial for them to hear some or part of it, please make sure to direct them to our pages accordingly.
Thank you guys for coming.
Thanks so much for your time.
Yep.
And last thing I'll say, if you need any sort of suggestions or can make any sort of suggestions, ideas, creative, whatever, please let us know, because we want to be as responsive to you all as possible. And we know you have a lot on your mind right now. So feel free to keep sending us things as you think of them.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
All right. Be well, be safe. See you soon.
Take care.